Well, hey there, it's Catherine from CatherinePuller.com. In today's video, we are going to use the Faithful Fluttering stamp set. This stamp set released a bit back in our store, and you guys have absolutely loved it. And one thing you've been asking for, clamoring for, hoping for, is dies to go with this stamp set. So we now have dies, yay! And the crowd goes wild. So we're gonna use these. I'm gonna do a little bit of stenciling. And this is another product we are adding to the store. It's called purple tape. And if you haven't heard about it, people are loving it. It's a great tape for stenciling and die cutting. The great thing about it, well, besides it being purple, is that it doesn't rip your paper. And then we also have this Amodex Ink and Stain Remover. So for those of you that do not want inky fingers, we have this cool product that's hitting our shop too. When we were at Creativation, we were introduced to it, and our friend Kelly Griglione, she went over with her super inky fingers. She used some of this and her fingers ended up being completely clean. So you can now find this in our shop. So this project, we are gonna start out by stenciling. So I've already used a little piece of this purple tape to mask off part of the GeoTrio Stencil. I'm covering up the polka dots there. I just wanna use the chevron. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm gonna line it up on that chevron. I'm going to use a bit of the purple tape to stick it down so that my paper doesn't move around. And then I'm gonna start the stenciling. So I'm gonna use It's a Boy. If you've never used our inks before, you're gonna want to check them out. They are dye inks, water-based. They stay wet for about 5 or maybe 10 seconds. They don't dry quickly, so you have time to blend. If you're quick, you can also emboss with them. So they are really great ink. They're a foam pad, and foam transfers ink to a stamp beautifully. So you get a perfectly stamped image with them. All right, so now we're using something borrowed, and I'm gonna do a little bit of an ombre effect. So I'm going dark down at the bottom, and then I'm going to just fade on and blend up into that It's a Boy. So I'm going to take the stencil and then I'm going to place it right over the top of my stenciled with the ink part. And then I'm going to grab my whipped spackle. This is by Faber-Castell. It's a great medium to add texture and interest to your projects. You're just going to scoop it out. It's kind of like icing, and you're just going to spread it over the top of your stencil. So I'm working to get it into all the little nooks and crannies and fill in that chevron design. Once you have it completely covered, then you're gonna do another pass through and just kind of smooth that out. I'm gonna just put this right back into the container, and then you're gonna wanna clean up your tools right away because this does dry and it's a little tricky to get off once it dries. It dries pretty hard. So I'm gonna now pull my stencil back, and I have this really gorgeous look. And while this is still wet before it dries, I'm gonna take, this is my powder spray tool, or my powder spray bottle. I have glass slipper glitter in here. This is an exclusive product made by Wow just for us, and I have about 2 jars in here. And so you're gonna take your bottle and you're just gonna spray, kind of pump, and it's just going to spray down glitter right where you want it. Now, I'm not saying you're not gonna get glitter in other spots, because you are, but it's just a really fun tool to use, and then you don't have to dump out all of your glitter, which is usually what I do. Then I'm just going to take this to the trash. I'm going to tap it off, and then you can see I have glittered whipped spackle. So for the next part, I want to stamp some butterflies. So I'm going to start with It's a Boy, and we'll stamp that full on with the solid butterfly stamp. And I think I'll go ahead and do, we'll do 2 of them. And then next up, I will do Fiesta Blue, and that is going to be our second most solid stamp. So the lightest color gets done with the solid stamp, and the darkest color gets stamped with the stamp that has the least amount of surface area on it, so that you get this really gorgeous layered look with your butterflies. Okay, and then we're going to do something borrowed on the top of that. Look at those gorgeous butterflies. I'm gonna try a slightly different color combination. Aquatini. And then Fiesta blue. And all that jazz. Then I want to try It's a Boy. And let me do it this way so that I can fit them. It's a Boy, Aquatini, and all that jazz. Now I'm going to die cut the butterflies. I'm going to use just a little piece of that purple tape to tack down my die so it doesn't move around when I'm die cutting it. We'll just run this through. I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum machine. Big Shot or any other cutting machine like this is going to work. So we'll pull that butterfly out and we have a die cut Faithful Flutterings butterfly. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones and then we'll move on with the card. Now that I have all my fabulous butterflies die cut, I'm going to use my Blackjack ink pad and we'll do the antenna. And ask me how I know this, but you're going to want to die cut them and then stamp the butterfly body because you want to make sure that butterfly body is low enough so that it fits into the die cut. Oh my gosh, look at how cute they are. Now next up is the sentiment treatment. So I'm going to use this purple tape again, and I've already die cut my smile, but I'm going to add that smile right back into the die cut. And I'm using a piece of purple tape because I want it to stay in place. I don't want it to be flopping all over the place, and I want the dot to my eye. So I'm gonna grab that out of here. Just put that right back in place. How many times have you lost a die cut like that? All right, so if you've never seen this product before, this is super fun. It's called glue gloss. Don't mistake it with lip gloss. It's got some glue in there, and I'm just going to smooth it onto my smile die cut. I'm putting a fairly thick layer here. And then I'll grab my powder spray bottle again, and I'm adding glitter right to my smile. And then I'll tap this off in my garbage. So now we're going to remove the purple tape, so I'll just peel that back. And same on the smile, I'll just peel that off. I think I'm going to leave the dot in place right now though because I don't want to lose it. Actually, I think I'll just leave this whole thing. Well, I'll just set this aside until I'm ready. I'm just going to trim off a little bit all the way around. I'm going to sponge some color all around the outside of this layer. I'm going to use this to adhere my stenciled piece onto. Most of this will not show, so I'm not worried about getting a smooth blend. I'm just throwing color down onto the cardstock. Another way to get coordinating cardstock is just to do direct to paper. So you're just going to take your ink pad, you're going to run it on your cardstock like that, and just like that, you have matching cardstock to your ink colors. So I added my blue piece to a card front, and I'm adding the Technique piece on top of that, and then it's time to build. So I think I'm going to use several different butterflies in different colors. Let's see. These two are the same, and I want each of them to be a little different. So we'll go ahead and use these. I'm going to use some liquid glue to adhere them on. I'm going to use quite a bit on the Technique piece part because I want it to stick. It's bumpy and it's got texture, and you're gonna need a little extra glue to make them stick out there. And then the smile, I'll just add some liquid glue on there as well. And I'm just gonna layer these right over the butterflies. I hope you leave me a comment below letting me know what you think of the whipped spackle and the glitter and also the layered butterflies. Thanks for being here. I will see you guys again soon.